Good morning, everyone. Welcome to JDB's Morning Cap. Today is Thursday, June 4th, 2026. I am so glad that this show is about to get on right now. Man, I know how much I'm looking forward to this one here. Oh man. So we had a handful to get to here today. We have a handful of stuff. Yeah, we got a handful of stuff to get into today. So I want to get started. I want to start this one here. All right. Let's talk about what happened in game one of the 2026 NBA Finals. Let's get this thing started. Last night, the Spurs were up by as many as 14 points. It was... At one point, it was 65 to 51. It was 65 to 51. Spurs in a 6:31 mark in the third quarter when the Spurs were leading by 14. And Jalen Brunson shows up late in the game and scores 30 points overall. And Jalen Brunson comes through in the clutch in the fourth quarter, and they end up winning over the Spurs 105 to 95 to take this game one of this NBA Finals. Not only that, the Knicks have now won 12 consecutive postseason games in a row. So, Knicks are 3 wins away from winning their championship. By the way, Jalen Brunson Jalen Brunson Jalen Brunson scored 13 of his 30 points in the fourth quarter. So Jalen Brunson was clutch in the fourth quarter. Jalen Brunson, he didn't have his best debut as far as shooting. 12 for 31 from the field, 2 for 9 from downtown. However, he made huge plays down the stretch They get some late game contributions with OG Anunoby. He was huge. Karl Anthony Towns, he was huge as well. And then coming off the bench, despite the fact the Knicks scored 28 points off the bench, Landry Shamet had 13 of the 2018 bench points. So the Knicks, they just continue to find ways to win. The Knicks outscored the Spurs in the fourth quarter, 29-19, in favor of the Knicks. Give Knicks so much credit, especially defensively, matching up consistently, converting those opportunities and converting those chances. This is the key for the New York Knicks to get this thing over with. So let's just say the New York Knicks are just you make this a clear path of it. And you're not sure that how the Knicks are going to make a huge clear path. The Spurs were 6-0 in Game 1 of the NBA Finals in their franchise history until they got their first Game 1 loss in the NBA Finals in their franchise history. But for the Knicks, they're now 4-0 in Game 1s in this postseason. That's incredible. But meanwhile, how the Knicks won the game. The Knicks only commit just one turnover in the second half. 7 of the 8 turnovers were in the first half. Knicks looked sloppy with the ball in the first half. Since then, they have 1 turnover in the second half. That's how they won the game. They only commit just 8 turnovers comparing to San Antonio with 13 turnovers. So, I know how crucial was it, even though Knicks got out rebounded by the Spurs by 5, 54-49 in favor of the Spurs. They got to clean up the rebounds for the Knicks. How they win this game. Did they do it with defense? Yes. They didn't shoot the ball great. They shot 42% from the field, 39 for 94. They shot 31% from long range, 11 for 36. And they knocked out most of their free throws. They made 16 free throws and 18 free throw attempts, which is 89%. So how the Knicks won the game, rely on they won the free throw battle. The Knicks have missed 2 or 3 fewer free throws than the Spurs. The Spurs have missed 5 free throws, still respected out of those 25 attempts, which is not terrible. They missed some crucial free throws down the stretch. We'll get to that in a minute. The Knicks, they only have 18 foul shots, which is not a lot. That's not a lot of foul shots. But most of those have been since halftime. So if they want to be aggressive at the line, shoot yourself. You got to do your job easily, if that's going to be the case. So, and then the Knicks blew an 8-point lead in the fourth quarter. And then the Spurs were up 95-93. We'll break this all down in just a few moments. Speaking of which, Spurs were up by 14. They had a pretty good chance to take Game 1 at home. Instead, they blew a 14-point lead. Spurs were down by 8. It was 94-86. Knicks had the lead. They were down by 8 in about a 6-minute mark in the fourth quarter. Yeah, The Spurs were down by 8 with 6 minutes and 7 seconds left. And then the Spurs were actually up by 1 at one point. Spurs went on a 9-0 run to put the Spurs back ahead. And then Knicks finishing 11-0 run in the final 2:16 remaining. The Knicks finished 11-0 run. Oh, by the way, since the fan interference of the Spurs, the fans try to take a picture with Victor Wembanyama on the court, but the security took care of the fan and got him out of the building, and then he was subsequently arrested for on-court interference, and a person who will be banned from the arena for life due to a fan interference. Since the fan interference, the Knicks closed out on a 13-4 run. That's totally unheard of, but I'll tell you what. Victor Wembanyama last night, he had a decent debut. I won't say great. He did it. He scored 26 points, 12 rebounds. There's some good things. He made a couple of threes out of 9 attempts. But the area he struggled in game 1 last night is his total field goals and turnovers. Let's start with the field goals. Victor Wembanyama went 6 for 21 from the field. However, the only positive thing is he made 12 free throws and 13 tries. He did have 3 blocks and a steal last night. There were some positives. The few negatives: 6 for 21 from the field, 6 turnovers. His plus minus was -3, and 2 for 9 from downtown. So there's some negatives for Victor Wembanyama. He can do better in game 2 if they want to even up this series. De'Aaron Fox, rough NBA Finals debut, 3 for 13 from the field. Stephon Castle, 7 for 16 from the field. Champagne was decent, 16 points. He made 5 3-pointers. But the guy who had a great Finals debut was Dylan Harper, 16 points, 6 for 10 from the field, 1 for 4 from downtown, 8 rebounds. Despite the fact he was -5 as far as plus minus, the only player who has a plus for the Spurs roster was Keldon Johnson, his +1. The rest of them are minus. For the Knicks, plus minus, most players are plus. Only one player is minus, is Mitchell Robinson. He hasn't even played that much. He only played just 13 minutes for the Knicks. Keldon Johnson was +1. He only played 8 minutes. This because of those fouls. But it's really hard when the Spurs trying to do something what is never done before is having an NBA Finals experience. Most people have never made an NBA Finals except for these 2 people, Barnes and Cornette have made the NBA Finals before. The rest of these guys have not played the NBA Finals, so this is their first game. Now they're going to learn it for the next game. Game 2 is tomorrow, right here in San Antonio. They can learn from it after they blew a 14-point lead last night. They got to figure it out. I understand the San Antonio Spurs have been going through some early battles in the playoffs. right now, the Spurs in games ones and twos overall, look at this. Just 3-4 in games one and twos. So it's the Spurs have struggled in to through the Spurs have struggled in every first two games of this playoffs. They failed to go 2-0. They failed. Well, either they failed to go 2-0 or they failed to go 1-0. So in game Spurs, remember Spurs won game one in the first round, but they failed to go 2-0 in game two. They lost to the Trailblazers in game two. Then the next round, Spurs lost in game one against the Timberwolves, failed to go 1-0, but they even up that record in game two against the Timberwolves. Then their last round, Spurs took game one against the Thunder, but they failed to go 2-0 against the Thunder. They lost game two. And then last night, they failed to go 1-0. Last night against the Knicks. So they struggled. They've been up and down in games one and two. They've been pretty good in others. Spurs are 2-1 in game three. Spurs are 2-1 in game four. Spurs are 2-1 in game five. Spurs are 2-0 in game six. Spurs are 1-0 in game seven. I mean, you got to go through battles. You got to go through past battles. So that would have been a different story right now. All right, let's move on to this. Come next. Actually, we're going to keep going here. We're going to talk about the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills, we have a new coach. Joe Brady is the new Buffalo Bills head coach. So, we just been talking about the Buffalo Bills last year, 12-5. Now this year, expectations are high in 2026. So I was going to look for the Bills' 2026 schedule. We'll get to that a little bit later. What is the Buffalo Bills' preseason expectations? How far they will go this year? This is a talented roster for the Buffalo Bills. Last year, the wide receiver production struggled because Keon Cohen has not been on the field a whole lot. They're just relying on too many. They were just relying on Josh Allen. He's trying to win this game by himself. That's not how it works. How are you going to win this game with no production, no wide receiver production? How are you going to win this football game? Should they rely on James Cook late in the game? Should they rely on Josh Allen's arm? No. Should they rely on Josh Allen's legs? Try to put his team on his back? Why would you do that? Because I think the best case scenario with no wide receiver production, it's going to be challenging for the Buffalo Bills if you don't have that type of production. But the good news is you got DJ Moore, the new member of the Buffalo Bills wide receiver. They need this type of production. They need consistency from the wide receiver position. If it wasn't for him, the Bills would have to go draft someone. They don't want to do that. They got to rely on. They're just gonna look. They're looking for experienced wide receiver, and it's that man, DJ Moore. DJ Moore is the man of the hour. Forget about it, because right now the Buffalo Bills, their expectations in the preseason, their preseason expectations are expect to be high. without a shadow of a doubt. Despite the new coach of Joe Brady, he was a former offensive coordinator. Not only he's a head coach now, he can call some. He called most of his. He's gonna be a play call most games this year, most of the games of the season, and the best case scenario right now is to get a golden opportunity to win football games. It's gonna help their cause. I think the offense is gonna be really really good. But my biggest question right now: can the defense play great potential? Last year, defense was up and down last year. They were actually great against the pass last year. They were great against the pass. They were solid against the pass last year. But they were terrible against the run. The Bills were terrible against the run last year. They were bottom 5 in run defense in the NFL last year. They're missing several tackles. They just haven't generated a lot of pass rush. Even though they add Joey Bosa, I think the production for Bosa will be better this year than last year. The Bills' defense has got to be more productive if that's going to be the case. So, is this exactly what they want? Is just trying to get everything in order in this one here. All right, let's take a look with the Buffalo Bills. Let's take a look at the Buffalo Bills over the last 9 seasons. It was all Sean McDermott era. So Sean McDermott became the Bills head coach in 2017. So here's the Bills record season by season over the last 9 years. Overall record and result. So here we go. In 2017 and 18 season, the Bills went 9-7 and made the postseason. However, lost the AFC wild card game to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then 2018-19 season, the Bills drafted Josh Allen, a number 7 overall pick. The Bills finished 6-10, missed the postseason. Meanwhile, in 2019-20 season, the Bills finished 10-6, made the postseason, lost the AFC wildcard game to Houston Texans in Houston. 2020-21 season, the Bills finished 13-3, made the playoffs, won the AFC East Division, won the wild card round against the Indianapolis Colts, won the AFC Divisional round against the Baltimore Ravens, before they lose to the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs, defending Super Bowl champs from 1920 season. And then the next year, 2021-22 season, the Bills finished 11-6, they still won division. Won the AFC wildcard game against the New England Patriots. Then they lost a wild AFC divisional round to the Chiefs. A lot of points in the final 2 minutes, but the Chiefs won in overtime, 42-36 in Kansas City. 2022-23 season, the Bills finished 13-3. Both Bengals and Bills failed to reach 17 games due to Damar Hamlin's injury. He suffered a cardiac arrest on January 2nd, 2023, between the Bills and Bengals game in Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, Ohio. And the game did play, but it got canceled. And these two, so that's the reason why the Bills finished 13-3. The Bengals finished 12-4. So they lost to the division round to the Cincinnati Bengals in Buffalo. In their 2023-24 season, they won 11-6, won the AFC divisional round. Won the AFC East division. They won a tiebreaker over Miami based on a head-to-head sweep. The offensive Bills had the same record in 2023-24 season. Bills have beat the Dolphins twice. Won the AFC wildcard game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lost the AFC divisional round to the Kansas City Chiefs. This time the game was in Buffalo. And Tyler Bass missed a game-tying 44-yard field goal. That would have tied the game, and that would have had a chance to beat the Kansas City Chiefs for the first time in the playoffs ever. And then next year, 2024-25 season, Josh Allen won the MVP. They went 13-4 and won the division once again. But they beat the Broncos in the AFC wildcard game. They also beat the Ravens in the AFC divisional round. It repeats itself. The Bills lost the AFC championship round to the Kansas City Chiefs. And then the next year, 2025-26 season, the Bills finished 12-5. They won the AFC wildcard game against the Jaguars in Jacksonville. That was Josh Allen's first career road playoff win in 5 road career starts in the playoffs before they suffered a heartbreaking loss in the division round in Denver against the Broncos in a controversial fashion. And also dismissing of Sean McDermott after 9 seasons as head coach. Joe Brady has promoted to the Bills head coach. So, what are my thoughts on the results? Maybe it's disappointing. It's been disappointing. We've seen a lot of painful postseason losses in a Josh Allen era and a Sean McDermott era. I mean, it's really hard because of that. This is the situation you really want to see because of that. It's really tough. It is really tough right now. So now, the Buffalo Bills, when I look at their schedule in 2026-27 season, when they're going to kick off this season, well, so here we go. Here's the schedule. It's not going to be easy to start the season. So, week 1, the Bills will visit the Houston Texans. The Bills have not won this building in Houston at all. So, I think Buffalo is going to take this victory. This will be the first win in Houston in franchise history. They'll beat the Houston Texans in Houston for the first time in franchise history. Now, week 2, they're going to face Detroit Lions in Buffalo, in their new stadium. I'm going to say that's a W as well, because the Lions have gone through injuries on defense. Despite the Hutchinson's talent, I think the Bills will go 2-0. I expect to be a shootout in week 2. Week 3, they're going to face the Los Angeles Chargers. This Chargers team is fresh. Their defense is fresh. Offensive line has been inconsistent at times. I think Chargers might shock the Bills on the road. So I think Bills lose week 3. So they're going to go 2-1. Then week 4, third consecutive home game, this time against the Patriots. The Bills will bounce back and they'll take the W. They'll go 3-1. And then week 5, the Bills heading to SoCal to play the Rams in LA. I said Rams beat the Bills to go 3-2. Then week 6, My favorite quarterback, Josh Allen, facing my favorite football team, the Las Vegas Raiders. The game is in Allegiant Stadium. Bills at Raiders. I'm going to pick the Bills to win. I think they're better than the Raiders. I'm not sure if Fernando Mendoza will have to start that game. So it could be Allen versus Mendoza in Las Vegas. I got Bills winning. They're going to go 4-2. Week 7, the Bills. Week 7, they have a bye in Week 7. So Bills will go 4-2 heading to their bye in Week 7. So the Bills will return their football activities on November 1st, which is Week 8, which is November 1st. The Bills will be home for the Ravens in Buffalo. The Bills will beat the Ravens. They'll go 5-2. In Week 9, they're at Minnesota. Bills, Vikings on Thursday night. Actually, on Monday night. My bad. Monday night. It'll be Bills at Vikings on Monday night. In Week 9. Unfortunately, they're going to lose to Minnesota. And the Bills will go... Shoot. The Bills will go 5-3. In Week 10, they're at the Jets. The Bills will bounce back. They'll get another win. They're going to go 6-3. They're at the Jets in Week 10. 6-3. And in Week 11, the Bills will host the Dolphins in Buffalo. That's another win, 7-3. In Week 12, Thanksgiving night against the Kansas City Chiefs at home. That's another win. Make it 8-3. In Week 13 at New England, that's a win as well. The Bills will go 10-3. And in Week 14 at Green Bay, that's an L. They'll play the Packers in Green Bay to make it 10-4. Right? Nine and 4, my bad. They lose to Green Bay to make it 9-4. Against the Bears at home, Week 15, win, make it 10-4. Then Week 16 at Denver, they're probably going to lose that one to make it 10-5. Week 17 at Miami, that's a win, 11-5. And then Bills hosting the Jets. And I think Bills will beat the Jets. The Bills will go 12-5 this year. The Bills will finish the season 12-5. And they will make the playoffs, and they're going to win the AFC East division. So, if that's the case, then we'll see it in their way right now. So, it's really, you put yourself in a really good situation that you really wanted to see. So, that's always a good sign in that one. All right, so Russell Wilson officially retires after 14 seasons. Former Super Bowl champion, Russell Wilson. He said on social media, he's calling it quits after 14 years. He spent most of the seasons with the Seahawks, including winning the Super Bowl in his second season as a quarterback. He spent time with Denver Broncos for a couple of seasons, and he spent time with the Steelers. He's also spent time with the New York Giants last year. Should we put Russell Wilson in the Hall of Fame? Yes, and not right now. But what is the timeline for Russell Wilson to become a Hall of Fame? I'm going to give him 9 years right now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. The best target eligibility to be a Hall of Famer if he doesn't return to play football activities is it's got to be at least 2034. he could be eligible. He could be eligible in 2032. The earliest he can be eligible is 2032 or 2033 for Russell Wilson to become a Hall of Fame. So it's official. And NFL Today studio team has they already lined it up for the NFL studio team this season. The host is James Brown. The analysts are Nate Burleson, Coach Bill Cowher, and then the two full-time studio analysts. They'll do it all season long. Kyle Long and now Russell Wilson. They'll do this all season long, all the way through the AFC Championship game. So they'll do from week 1 through the AFC Championship game. So we know Kyle Long is going to be in the studio this year. We don't know if Russell Wilson will remain playing NFL, but he's not. Now he's transitioned to the studio analyst on CBS. I'm so glad to hear. I was so glad to hear that. It's just because we all know this in this one here. All right, let's move on for that. Let's take a look. All right, so let's talk about Major League Baseball. Let's talk about Cy Young of the National League. We talked 3 pitchers pitched yesterday. 3 pitchers pitched yesterday who were in the Cy Young conversation. I'm going to start off with Paul Skenes. How he do last night? Paul Skenes went 4 2/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, walked 1, 7 strikeouts. He was a little bit better, but he still struggled with his stuff overall. Paul Skenes' ERA in each of his last 3 starts was 5.87 ERA. He's lost his last 3 starts as well. So Paul Skenes, so far this season, comparing to his first 2 seasons, he won a National League Rookie of the Year. In 2024. He won a National League Cy Young last year. This year, it's been up and down for him. 6-5 with a 3.09 ERA. He does have 82 strikeouts. His whip is just over 0.90. 0.91 is his whip, which is not bad still. He doesn't walk a lot. He'll give up some hits. But he's a great pitcher. But should I pick Paul Skenes winning a Cy Young this year? No. Has it been the same since the last couple of years? No. Is he still one of the greatest pitchers in baseball? Yeah. Yes, he is. But unfortunately, the Astros beat the Pirates last night, 11-9. The Astros used a 6-run 8th inning to complete that comeback. So, they have a road match in the final game of the series. Pirates won their first matchup, and then the Astros came back and beat them last night. We'll find out who takes 2 out of 3. Next one, we got Shohei Ohtani of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Last night, Dodgers played the D-backs in Game 3 of this 4-game set. Shohei Ohtani went 6 shutout innings, allowed just 2 hits, 1 walk. He's faced a minimum 6 strikeouts, less than 5 base runners in general. Shohei Ohtani lowered his ERA with 0.84. Right now, I ranked number one, or I'm gonna rank it as number two actually. Despite his low ERA, I don't see Shohei Ohtani winning a Cy Young because maybe his numbers will probably gonna fall off in his next several starts. Well, Shohei is actually in a Cy Young conversation, but we don't know who would be the favorite. The preseason favorite coming into the season was Paul Skenes. Reality right now is Shohei Ohtani and Christopher Sanchez. We'll get Sanchez stuff in a minute. You cannot be more impressed about Shohei Ohtani's stuff on the mound. We know about that. Dodgers end up winning 7-0. Dodgers and D-backs are wrapping up this series tonight. The Dodgers try and take 3 out of 4 from Arizona. All right, next one. We got the Phillies. We got the Philadelphia Phillies battled the Padres last night. Christopher Sanchez was a big story. The longest active scoreless streak in the history by a left-handed pitcher. He went 50 2/3 scoreless innings. That's the 5th longest of all time amongst lefties. However, he snapped a 50 2/3 scoreless streak last night against the Padres. However, his team won. Christopher Sanchez is 7-2 this season, and his ERA is at 1.46, and he has struck out 103 batters. His whip is not bad, 1.09. That's one of the lowest whips in baseball. Paul Skenes has the lowest whip in the National League this year and in entire baseball. That's how good Christopher Sanchez is. I put Christopher Sanchez to be a Cy Young conversation. I think he's going to win a Cy Young. If he keeps it up, then he's got a legitimate shot to win the National League Cy Young over Shohei Ohtani. Shohei Ohtani has won 4 MVPs, but he's never won a Cy Young in his career. He's won 2 World Series. So if Shohei Ohtani wins the Cy Young, Shohei Ohtani could become the first player in the modern era to win at least 2 World Series, won at least 2 MVPs by each league. He won 2 MVPs with the Angels in the American League. He won 2 MVPs with the Dodgers in the National League. And then he wins a Cy Young. He could become the first player in the modern era. So Christopher Sanchez could make history as well. He could become the first Philly lefty to have the lowest ERA to win a Cy Young by a left-handed pitcher. He could become the lowest ERA by a left-handed pitcher and the most wins and the most strikeouts in a single season in Phillies franchise history. So there's a lot of stuff at the plate going on. And I can tell you that. All right, what's coming up on tomorrow's JDB's Morning Cap on June 5th? Tomorrow, I'll preview Game 2 of the NBA Finals. I'll talk some more NFL. I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver position after A.J. Brown leaving for New England. Is Devontae Smith the best receiver on his team? We'll talk about that tomorrow. of course. Will the Spurs bounce back in Game 2 tomorrow night? We'll find out if that's going to be the case. So, don't adjust your TV sets. So we got to do something else. All right, that's enough for me. This is JDB's Morning Cap. We'll be back at it tomorrow. And hope your day is smooth.